Welcome to the Joy Link. Today we are in the beautiful location overlooking Lisbon in Portugal, and I'm here with Drew. And we'll be talking about quite a few topics. One of them will be spirituality, but if you could introduce yourself first.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Drew Grossmann. I'm a spiritual entrepreneur. I do conscious consulting. I work with humans and individuals in their business and their lives, using spirituality and groundedness as a basis to grow into abundance and fulfillment so we can be having conversations on a beautiful afternoon overlooking a beautiful city.
What is your definition of joy?
For me, joy is waking up every morning with gratitude, and just finding that gratitude of being able to do and pursue the thing that one loves. And I think what one loves is the pursuit of their true calling or their dharma. And so being in joy is being in that abundance mindset of, waking up every morning, loving what one is doing and making choices that are aligned with oneself and finding the peace and solitude within that.
What is Dharma?
Dharma to me would be the life path that one soul has chosen to take on during this incarnation. It's more of an Eastern philosophy, but it basically means following the path that's been set out for oneself prior to them coming to this earth or this plane.
It was like a pre-birth planning.
Yeah, like the pre-birth plan of what your destiny is. And we could just call it destiny instead of dharma. So fulfilling your dharma or fulfilling your destiny, the act of that, because it's almost like the same thing of trying to get to the edge of the earth. It's just going to be a constant, never-ending horizon. So fulfilling one's dharma or destiny is also just the stepping in presence of being with where one wants to be every moment.
I'm just curious, what is bringing you joy?
In this moment, what's
overall,
Yeah, I think, every morning I wake up and I have a gratitude prayer that I say, just for the ability to be where I am currently and physically, all the abundance that's brought into my life, all the blessings of everyone that I've met, have met, will meet, and will never meet, because all their interactions are also affecting me in so many different ways.
You seem very aligned and integrated where you are at the moment, and you understand that everything what happened before led you to the moment, so there is no way to come back, right? But usually, that's not the standard how people are thinking and operating, right? So how did you get here?
Great question. And I think you answered it a little bit, is that everything in my past has either been an experience or a lesson or both. And so holding on to any of the pain or the regret or the suffering that I held around certain, whether it was relationships, whether it was business choices and decisions, life choices, should I have turned left instead of right? Any of these small things, whether they're small or big, doesn't matter, because they can be small and actually big in one's own mind, has been forgiveness. And it's not a forgiveness of just saying, I'm sorry. It's a true forgiveness to be able to reincorporate the pieces that I've separated out for myself. By feeling any type of anger, frustration, regret, any of those lower energies, what happens is we separate that piece of ourselves from ourselves. And so when we can look at it, it's not actually a part of us. And so we have to really accept and pull back in a loving, compassionate way, those pieces that may feel like they were either out of alignment with where we were in the moment, or that they didn't actually pan out the way we wanted. The biggest lesson has always been, it's exactly been the way that it's supposed to be each and every time.
I love that. And actually, I saw something on this topic the other week, that we are so focused on making the right decision. And then we are sometimes in this kind of area between like making a decision and like we're going back and forth in our mind, where in fact we have one lifetime. It's impossible for us to know if we would take another path, what would be the result. Like, it's literally impossible. So that's the thing, that instead of wondering what if, you should just go for it and just appreciate everything that you have on the way, because it's impossible to have 10 lives in this given situation. Yeah.
Sure. I have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, sure.
We're talking about the mind and how there's two decisions happening in the mind. For me, what one of my teachings is about intuition, which is a feeling as opposed to a thought. And so when the mind has the split decision to make, really what's happening is it has two different separate ideas that are flowing within it. And coming back to the decision from a point of an original intention. So in the body and in the soul, there's knowledge and there's knowing and there's wisdom and there's truth. Is it possible to go back in time before that decision was split to feel what the original intention and like what the original want was? And if it's an edge, if it's something that's a growth piece, then can you move into that as opposed to split the decision because there's something that's happening that's going to cause some type of fear or embarrassment or so.
So it's more like when you have two decisions, let's say decision A and decision B, is it different intention behind both, or you can have the same intention behind the two decisions at the same time?
I think the intention of any thought and any desire is always of the highest good, which is love.
Okay.
So there's a concept in NLP, which is neuro-linguistic processing or programming, that the mind always wants to get back to love. And so the pieces that split, their highest intention is always just, can we be whole again? But if one can backtrack far enough through the observation of their thought, which was, so for example, there was a time when like, let's say we're going swimming and I don't want to take off my shirt. I'm like, okay, why don't I want to take off my shirt? Is it because the sun, like I want to do something about, I don't have sunscreen and I don't want to get burned? Or is it because I ate pizza last night and I'm feeling like a little bit embarrassed about my body figure? If it's the latter and it's like, oh, the body figure thing, then that's not really out of love, that's out of fear and that's out of embarrassment. So like it is actually a growth edge to be like, this is who I am today and this is what I'm going to show the world. If it's the other one, then it's more out of love and like, oh, like this is actually going to support me in the future by staying more shielded from the sun.
Oh, I love that. And also, I read this book, The Conversation with a God, and there was this that people, they are driven by two emotions, and everything is in coloration to those, which is fear and love. So it's very similar to what you were saying.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a go towards or a pull back from.
Okay.
And which one can you expand more into?
And what do you think people are being guided by majority of their lives?
They're being guided by a bunch of different things that are in their field, and those are all choices. So you're the average of the 5 closest people you surround yourself with, and those people are the average of those 5. And their base tones as far as like where their emotions are, where their thoughts, like what kind of music are you listening to? Not even just the beat or the strings, but the actual lyrics. The same with television or any type of social media, anything that's being taken into the field. What is the baseline vibration of that? And how is that affecting your subconscious thoughts? So clearing that out allows one to raise their vibration to a different level as well. And also observing it.
Why forgiving is not easy?
Who says forgiving is not easy?
Like, until you get that it's easy, it's quite challenging, right?
Sure. Yes. It's not easy for some people because it takes a humongous, tremendous amount of self-reliance, like self-respect, taking on the aspect that the anger that one feels towards someone else, that person that is like, has that anger direct toward them, they're not actually taking any of that on. It's actually self-harm. So there's a huge amount there and a great deal of needing to take self-responsibility. And depending on where one is, that self-responsibility can hurt a lot because then I have to look at myself and say, oh, shoot, like I've been hurting myself the entire time. It hasn't been this person. I have to take on this energy. And that to me has been the biggest point of growth as far as forgiveness is concerned. It's forgiving someone and allowing it to release, because then there's an identity in there that changes. So for me, if my identity is tied up in someone else did this to me, so now I'm this person, it gives me less authority to take control of my own life. It's the same reason, like, if I get a personal trainer and I don't lose weight, I can blame the personal trainer, but it's my problem for sitting on my butt and eating chips and watching TV. So the personal blame game is something that really causes that forgiveness to either come in easily or not. And it's directed towards how much can one look at their own lives and their own selves and feel comfortable in examining who they are.
That takes enormous amount of effort, I can tell you guys. It's not easy, but it's definitely always rewarding. From your perspective, how does forgiveness links to joy?
Well, the more that one forgives, the more joyous they can become. Because if I wake up every day and I'm thinking about something that's angered me, frustrated me, pissed me off, I'm less close to love than I am to fear. If I'm afraid of forgiveness, then I can't be closer to love. And love is all about forgiveness. Think about a child that does something wrong. The parent can either forgive them for it because they're young and they don't know any better, or they can, nag them and cause a lot of pain. And then will they ever forgive the child? Of course they will. And at the end of the day, inside of us, we're all just children. And, the difference between a child and an adult, in my belief, is when they stop living in the present and they start concentrating the majority of their day in either the past or the future. And so a lot of people are thinking about their taxes and they're thinking about the thing that someone said last week. The child is on a playground, they're imagining things, they're coloring, they're running around excited all the time. And so we have in each and every one of us a child like that. The question is, can we come back to allowing our child to come out? And are we putting a lot of things either from the past and the future on top of that? Everything is learned. We come into this world knowing nothing. And everything is either modeled or impressed upon us. And so how many layers can we pull back to get back down to the essence of who we are? The essence of who we are being our destiny, drawing it all back around. I think another point on the joy is it could just be surmised as presence. The only thing that happens is happening now, which is the present moment. Whether it's us communicating now or someone listening to this later, it's happening presently. And so whether we paint our nails, we wear different color shirts or jewelry, everything is just reminding us about our current state in this moment. And that's exactly where love occurs, is now. There is no love in it. Don't take it too seriously, but love doesn't exist in the past or the future because the only thing that's ever happening is the present moment. And so children exist in the present moment, which is how they can be so joyful all the time. The same with pets and animals. People love dogs because when they pet them, they're literally in the present with this animal.
And then being present is pretty much meditating through life and just not going ahead and not going back, but just being here and now, which is challenging to do. Just saying. It's not, it seems easy, and it could be easy, but on some days it's not for me. I don't know, how is it for you?
It's the hardest, easiest thing that you can do.
Yeah, the hardest, easiest thing. Exactly.
It's like doing nothing is the easiest thing and the hardest.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the breath is present too, right? The breath is only happening right now. And that's why it's such an easy anchor to get into the present moment, because the breath isn't happening in the past, the future. Sure. Yeah. And breath means spirit as well. In Latin. Yeah. Yes. The spiritu is spirit.
Really? Mm-hmm. Breath in Latin means spirit?
Yes.
Well, because I know that this is the first thing that we have when we come to the herb, and then the last time. But then people are so not conscious about the way how they breathe, right? That there is the shallow breathing instead of the deep breathing and all of that. So it's, it's kind of like not being in tune with the basics.
Yeah, there's a yogic Eastern philosophy as well that it's not that you're born with a certain amount of time, you're born with a certain amount of breaths. And so how slowly can you take those breaths, and what do you do with the out breath? Right? Because the in breath, there's no voice, it's silent, it's for you. And the out breath is what you use it for. And so how conscious are you with using that out breath in a way that evokes love and gives spirit back and uses it in a blessing as opposed to unconscious.
It's amazing talk. And I'm wondering what would be your piece of advice or how somebody can start experiencing more joy in their life. What is this one thing that you would advise them to do?
Just find one thing that you're grateful for in this very moment. Like, can you close your eyes as long as you're not driving? Can you just sit, take a breath, like we just said? Can you focus on the in-breath and the coolness around the tip of your nostril? And then on the out-breath through your nose, can you focus on the heat in the same spot? And can you do that 2 or 3 more times as you breathe in through your nose and out? And then can you slowly open your eyes and look around you, even something that's quite present? Can you just, from your heart, give gratitude and gratefulness for whatever that is in this moment and say thank you?
Oh, gratitude is joy's best friend for sure. And if somebody would love to connect with you, and also we haven't talked about it, but you are an author of a book. If you could talk about it briefly and how somebody can find you online.
Yeah, sure. Well, you can Google me, Drew Grossmann, with 2 S's and 2 N's. It's German. The book is called The Universe Doesn't Speak English. It's a guide to get out of your mind, drop into your body, and feel your soul. And so commonly held beliefs in both Western and Eastern philosophy is there's mind, body, soul, and that's the pathway. What this book does is take all of that and flip it. So instead of mind, body, soul, it goes through all the exercises to get into each one of those. And then at the end, actually changes the pattern, transforms it into soul, body, mind. So instead of taking the outside in and trying to make sense of the world through the mind first and then channeling it through the body, what we do is we flip it and we come from the soul, which is within, which has not been tainted by the mind, to feel it in the body and take it out through the mind. Did I say that right? I think I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
At first soul, then mind.
Soul, then body, then mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So thank you so much for this. And it's super interesting conversation. And it's, and especially that I know that you are coming from different background. And it's just amazing. So guys, definitely go and get the book. And I will put the links in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this, Julia. And I want to say one last thing. Like you said, I used to work in finance. I used to be a 9 to 2 a.m.er. I thought that life was success, and I was letting other people's definitions of success define for me who I was. And this goes back to identity one more time. One of the other things that I've learned over the years is that people name their children faith and hope and destiny. They don't name it fear, regret, and like
I love it. Yeah.
Right. And so there's a reason that people name their children these things and not the opposite. So when in doubt, just have faith. And that faith is always carrying oneself through the breath into the spirit.
Mic drop. Thank you.